On this week's episode, Josh Pederson and I talk the future of Disney after the announcement of leaving Netflix for a new streaming service of their own. Plus, Sarah Kay from the AniQuest podcast returns with her thoughts on Sony's new integration of anime for their PlayStation audience. We also talk Hellblade's vision of mental trauma, the bleak future of the Fantastic Four, and what cool stuff did we just find out about The Last Jedi? All this plus another hit song from Plasma Z. It's another theme park full of podcasting thrill rides we have for you today as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture, Cosmos, and Game Source. I'm here along with my good friend. He is the leading man in the never-ending movie called Humanican Media. It's Josh Pederson. What's going on, my friend?
I just got back from recording some Super BS Games cast.
He had to look at it because the list of podcasts now goes so far down.
Correct. And yeah, I've been playing some Hellblade. We'll talk about that more later. But yeah, just keep him busy, man. Keeping on that media train, just plummeting forward off that cliff and into the oblivion of potential listeners, you know?
I hear you, and that's great indeed because you've got a lot of great shows that actually have been coming out over the past few days. Is that correct?
Yes, right? We're talking about, yes, Topicocalypse. Yes,
Topicocalypse, Super BS Games Cast you released. I know you just recorded one recently, but you've got another one that you just put out to YouTube, correct, and all that?
Right, yeah. Well, it's just Topicocalypse, but I've just been distributing to all of the sources, the usual suspects.
Ah, okay. So, because I know you've been sprinkling out Topicocalypse episodes over the past week, and also just there's, like I said, the Super BS Games Cast. What about this is coming in the next couple of weeks as well, so definitely look out for that indeed. And every Tuesday on the Podcast Radio Network, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, you check out the exclusive show they've got for you there, The Attack of the Humanicans. It's a great show indeed, and it's all from your friends at Humanican Media. You want to check them out: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, the Podcast Radio Network, wherever you can get a hold of their great lineup of shows. In fact, a great lineup of shows right here. We got a great lineup for you tonight. It's the PCC Multiverse, and we've got a lot to talk about. There's the Disney. Oh my gosh, Disney is at it again, and we're definitely going to talk about that. Plus, like Josh said as well, Hellblade, as far as we're going to talk about how that game, Hellblade, Sesuna, what's it called? Oh, okay. There you go. Hellblade, Sesuna's Sacrafice. Josh recently got to play a little bit of the game already, and his thoughts and both our thoughts as far as how the game looks, but also as well how it perceives mental trauma. And actually, it looks at it in a much more favorable light, and we'll talk about that than some other projects that have been going on in media in regards to that subject. So we'll definitely talk about that as well. We'll talk about the Fantastic Four. Oh my gosh, how the mighty have certainly fallen there. And then also as well, we'll end the show later tonight with some thoughts on The Last Jedi. Some stuff came out over the weekend, some news, some items, some photos, and we just some little tidbits there. Lucasfilm is just sprinkling at us, and we want to make sure we talk about that as well. Plus another great song from Plasma Z, and Sarah Kay from the AniQuest podcast comes back on the show. I talked with her for just a few minutes to talk about anime really going the way of Sony with a new acquisition. So we're going to talk about all that great stuff as well. So, but let's get into it, because the big story in pop culture this week was Disney actually basically buying themselves into the streaming service business, so to speak, by actually putting in about 1/3, 33% of BAM TV. Now, if you're not familiar with BAM TV and the streaming services that they provide, if you're familiar with the MLB streaming service, or probably even more notable than that is the WWE Network. They are responsible for providing the service that you see with the WWE Network, MLB Network, and more as far as their streaming service is concerned. So it led to the announcement that by 2019, a great deal, well, actually, pretty much everything Disney will be off the channel on Netflix by 2019. So I ask you, Josh, first off, what kind of major announcement is, gauge this on as far as how important this is with Disney going off on its own with its own streaming service?
I honestly, like, why do they need this, I guess is my question. It's going to upset a lot of people because a lot of people are fiercely loyal to Netflix. Like, there are memes. Like, when you have memes made about your company, that's how you know you've made it to the big leagues.
Well, when you have, catchphrases that are supposed to be meaning something else based off of Netflix, that tells you made it.
A lot of people are saying, like, yeah, I'm really excited about this, but I don't think – look at it this way. You're paying, what, $15 a month? Or is it still $8 a month for Netflix, or is it up
right around the 10? Actually, $12 is the highest plan a month.
Okay. $12 a month for Netflix, and you're obviously going to want to keep Netflix. So what's going to make you want to go and pay for a Disney subscription service when all they have are Disney products? Like, it's not. Well, they have that's Star Wars, obviously, but like, what's going to make you? There's not any variety, and if you're still paying for Netflix, and like, there's a lot of people until Game of Thrones over there going to be paying for HBO Go and all that good stuff, but I don't. I'm going to be curious what the numbers are, and I also am wondering, what does this mean for the Marvel Netflix original series?
Well, that actually is the best point that you're making right there in regards to that, and we'll touch on that in a sec, but let's look at all the major stuff that Disney currently owns. Let's start with ABC. So they could put all the stuff that appears on their network on that streaming service. Let's go with Disney, Disney XD, all that stuff as well, which, obviously it's not as much. And Freeform, no, not even at all, unless you're talking, all they do is play Harry Potter there and some other stuff, Twilight and all that, but we won't go there. Freeform stuff. But also as well, it gets into major, like I said, ABC with everything there. ESPN. Remember, they own ESPN, and they have got a lot of stuff that they could go ahead and stream out through that streaming service if they so choose to, because ESPN recently made a announcement that they had fallen behind as far as their technology and had become too lax in the way that they were dealing with their network, and their profits have subsided. There were a lot of big issues and big concerns. There are a lot of big issues and a lot of big concerns over exactly their profits and their revenue margins because of the fact that they were not earning as much, because people are cutting the cords, and they were losing actually cable subscribers by the thousands in the recent years, and not able to make up that in any other discernible way. So this could be a new way and a new, a revenue stream, sorry for the pun there, but a new revenue stream for all their ESPN content as well, not to mention Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm, and anything else you want to throw in there that the House of the Mouse built as well. So it could be a streaming channel that could go beyond pretty much anything that's out there with a wide variety of stuff they could choose.
Right. So I guess I didn't take into consideration that they have all those properties, but yeah, it's going to be interesting because I'm not sure like how much of Netflix's content is going to be or is currently Disney owned and how much of it is not Disney owned, but it's just going to be funny to see. Like, I'm curious how that meeting went down or how the news was handled by Netflix. And two, I'm wondering, like, what are they going to have once Disney pulls all their stuff off, and how many people are subscribing to Netflix for the sole purpose of watching said Disney channels? Because I know, does this mean now that they're pulling their stuff off Netflix, are they also going to be pulling like ABC from Hulu and I don't know what other streaming services you could use, like a lot of Xbox Live and PlayStation Network?
I would imagine so, because Hulu is owned by NBC Universal, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, because I know they had a contract and you could watch like the past 4 or 5 episodes. I know CW pulled their stuff from Hulu, so pretty soon, like, Hulu, besides their original content, like, they're not really going to have much either. So it's just, I'm curious, because Disney could very well put a lot of these streaming services out of business, especially if they start going after like their their competitors trying to make deals to get their streaming stuff on their own service. But again, why do they need it is my question.
I just assume it's because, like I said, they want for their ABCs and their ESPNs of the world, who are losing market share every single day because people are either cutting the cords or choosing a different option for their television service. They need to get those shows out to more viewers, and this could be a great way of doing it by getting it out into a streaming service, an exclusive streaming service that no one else can carry their products. So it's definitely a big move by Disney. And I think in the past, I think that people should treat this in the same way that they treated the Lucasfilm. And as far as the Marvel acquisitions are concerned, they should treat this in a very similar fashion, because this could be potentially a new way of how the general audience out there treats their viewing habits. I mean, we might have to go to let's call the Disney Network for all intents and purposes. I don't know what it's going to be called, but let's just call it the Disney Network. You know, to catch that baseball game, to catch that basketball game, to catch that that Marvel movie, to catch that Marvel series, to catch that Star Wars series, to catch all the stuff that's on all those other networks. It'll be right in one place, and people will just go and migrate to there if they want to catch all that great Disney content, because Disney owns a great bit of properties that go just beyond the Disney realm. So that's why I think 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, this probably wouldn't have not made so much sense, because it would have been just exclusive Disney properties. And I don't know how long that would have lasted outside of a younger audience. Now you've got so many other properties that they own, that if they were, since they're going to go and have their own exclusive network, it just makes it so much more palatable for the general audiences to go and migrate over to what they're going to offer. And in regards to what we were talking about with Marvel and Netflix, those shows like The Defenders, Daredevil, I'm assuming that, and like I said, this is only speculation, but yes, Netflix should have the rights to continue to show the produced properties that they stuff that they produced on their networks going forward. But that doesn't mean that they didn't sign a contract that said Disney, for all intents and purposes, could also take those shows and not only show repeat shows, seasons prior, but they could go ahead with seasons going forward for those shows on the new network as well, and just take over the production mantle. I have a feeling that would be the case. Marvel has already dealt with issues, as you and I speculated and talked about on so many other episodes, in regards to their past deals with Paramount and all the other entities as well, in regards to their previous properties. I don't think Disney will make that same mistake twice with Marvel when it comes to their properties. And if the new network has that option, they're going to take every bit of it, as far as the Defenders, the Iron Fists, the Jessica Jones, the Luke Cages, and have that ability to also show it on their network as well.
That's true, but it also poses a danger of, these Netflix shows are very important to them. The way that I see it, as far as their TV lineup goes, these shows are incredibly important. And Netflix has taken some chances, gone a little darker than the normal Marvel thing, and I'm afraid that if these properties go back to Disney and Disney starts creating them, that we are going to essentially get a Defender's Light. You know, we're gonna get that comedic touch, and it's gonna take all the depth and storytelling that Netflix has built that is so great, and we're gonna lose it.
And that's something we talked about last week with the Marvel's Inhumans, and also as well we talked about with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. having issues. There's definitely a much better viewing experience when you watch the Marvel shows on Netflix as opposed to when you watch them on ABC. We clearly indicated that in that podcast. And if you want to check that out, it's on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel, everywhere you can find streaming and downloading options. But back to what I was talking about, it's a big thing as far as being able to go ahead now and show it on this new Disney streaming network. But like you said, the content of it and how it was how it will be perceived now could be quite different, and that to a lot of people would be disappointing, because like you said, it could eventually be like a Defender's Light, could be an Iron Fist Light, could be a Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and Luke Cage Light, which obviously would not be appealing to fans. They would lose the audience, similar to what they would have with what's going on with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. right now and all the backlash that Marvel and Humans are getting. So I definitely see that as well as being a problem, but I think that's a small problem in the essence, comparatively speaking, to the potential profit and viewership that they could get with their own streaming network. So I'm just surprised that they only bought 33% a stake in BAM TV. I would have just assumed that they. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that this is kind of an experiment for them, and it's not like they can't afford to do it, but it's just a very surprising thing that I would have never expected to happen. But we'll wait and see. I'm sure that they have an option to buy more stakes should that happen, because Disney, they're Disney. They can pretty much do whatever they want. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
And in the past 10 years, they pretty much have. So, but I've learned from those acquisitions of Marvel and also as well Lucasfilm is that when they take over property and that's existing, they usually do the right thing with it. So I'm very excited to see what's going on, but I have a lot more faith in Disney coming up with something that's going to be very effective and very pleasing to an audience as a whole. There may be little glitches, like you said, like both you and I discussed, with taking those Marvel shows from Netflix to a Disney network, so to speak. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for that option, because if it does come out, it's going to be one heck of a solution for audiences. It will be probably very costly. It won't be cheap, but it definitely will be something that is definitely worth keeping an eye on once it comes to fruition and it becomes an existing channel indeed. What are your thoughts out there on the Disney move to become part of the streaming audience and become in plans to make their own streaming network? Please share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, and Humanity Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. Any last thoughts on the actual move itself, and any more tidbits you want to share with the audience on Disney and the whole streaming platform and how that's going to be in inevitability come 2019?
It's just a wait and see kind of thing for me. I don't think it's something Disney needs to be diving into, but Disney wants to own the world, so Disney's going to do what Disney's going to do.
That they do indeed. And like I said, for me, I'm not going to, at this point, I'm not going to argue it. I'm just going to see what happens and see what materializes, because I've questioned them once, shame on me, and I've questioned them twice, shame on me. Third time is charm. I'm not going to question them at this point until I see something really wrong with what they're doing. And at this point, I don't see it this time. I think it's going to be a great option. Be a little bit expensive, but I think it'd be something that fans and around the world for various platforms that they own will be looking out for indeed. Well, it's going to be a great podcast indeed. We've got a lot of great stuff on the way and a lot of great talk, and also my interview again with Sarah Kay from the AntiQuest podcast. We're going to be talking with her in regards to the anime coming to the Sony platform, in regards to the recent acquisition themselves that they made. So definitely looking forward to that. I'm so happy and so appreciative that she came on to the show to talk to us about that. So we're definitely looking forward to that coming up here as well. And we have a lot of great stuff to talk about indeed. So it's going to be another great episode for you right here. And first up, though, is another great song from Plasma Z. And this is Mango. And this is the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. In the next break, I'm going to tell you, if you have not gotten, excuse me, I'm going to start over again. If you've not gotten a chance to hear us on Monday nights, our #1 show, 6 months in a row on the Podcast Radio Network, I'll tell you what, it's a great show indeed. It's the Pop Culture Cosmos show every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. And that's also Tuesday for Attack of the Humanicans, also on the Podcast Radio Network, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, both on the Podcast Radio Network. So we truly appreciate the love out there for both shows. 13,000 listeners for Josh on his show on Tuesday nights, and over 15,000 for the Pop Culture Cosmos show. We truly appreciate it indeed. And it's all because of you. And again, we just are so thankful for it. So Josh, I want to talk a little bit about Hellblade. What a great game that's coming out this week. And I know that you started playing with it. And if you want to check out Josh's time with Hellblade, Sesuna Sacrafice, check it out on his channel, Humanican Media on YouTube. He's got a lot of footage already, about at least an hour in, and want to check out all that. It's a game that deals with mental trauma, and as far as different variations of perceptions, a little bit of psychological issues, and also a lot of puzzle quests as well. So tell me your thoughts on the game as a whole, and also what kind of effect do you think it will have with audiences in regards to mental trauma?
So I'm about 2 hours into it right now, and I love it. It's an absolutely beautiful game. I can see a lot of time and care and passion was put into it. They open up strong with the letting you know that this game revolves a lot around mental health, and they want to make sure you know that they had mental health experts on staff. I was watching a making of the game, and they said they had 6 mental health experts on staff, and they were supervised by somebody, and they constantly consulted with their local colleges as far as the psychology department to make sure that it was handled with care and is handled tastefully and is also accurate at the same time. So this is interesting because it's the first time that in a game that something like this has been done. You know, in video games we get amnesia, we get just random spouts of violence, but we don't ever have like somebody who is truly mentally ill. And I know the game didn't start out like that, but it kind of evolved into this thing, and it's an interesting new dynamic for a character like that. So I'm really looking forward to getting to the end of the game. And I hope that it's not like one of those endings where you wake up and it's actually a modern character somewhere in a hospital or something. But yeah, why is it? I guess my question to you would be, why is it that video games like they don't reach, like a game like this would not reach as far as like a 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, but they took the time and care to put into making sure that this whole thing was handled correctly, and it was done with taste, and it was done respectfully too, whereas a Netflix show has such a wider reach, and it probably a lot bigger budget, and they didn't put any of the time and effort into this. So I feel like Netflix should be taking notes from Ninja Theory on how to do something like this.
Well, I think it comes down to Hellblade being more of artistic value and more appreciative of that platform of mental illness, and Netflix just using it more for entertainment value. I mean, you've actually been a strong, strong advocate for this as far as what Netflix is doing in regards to 13 Reasons Why, and the fact of how they are treating, in your way, in your opinion, and a lot of others as well, they're treating it and mishandling it as far as the issue of mental trauma. I think it just goes without saying that when you see 13 Reasons Why, or you try to understand what 13 Reasons Why is trying to accomplish, they're accomplishing something more substantive and trying to garner ratings. They're going for the low hanging fruit, as opposed to what Ninja Theory is going for. And obviously that is to try and educate, along with making people understand exactly what individuals who have this kind of trauma are actually going through on a daily basis.
Right, and but it's interesting too, because it also goes to show you that, you know, if you put the time and effort and care into something like this, you can tell a very emotional story, which is ironic because that's what Netflix is trying to do, but they ended up just creating a garbage TV show, whereas Ninja Theory made this game, and just the way that they handled it, having all these people involved in it, created this very emotional storyline, and you actually, like, you feel for the character as you're playing her, as you're, you know, going through her journey through this, you know, through this Norse mythology, and I'm captivated by it.
And that's great to hear, because I think your thoughts echo many, many, many gamers out there, and also game reviewers who have echoed your sentiment in regards to the actual game itself. And I've seen quite a bit of gameplay now of it as well. It looks just so, you know, respectful of the subject matter, and also as well, it looks so great as far as from a perspective, as far as what you're doing, what you accomplish. Yes, there's combat in it, but combat is not the real story. Yes, there's puzzles in it, and puzzles that are at first sometimes a little bit complex to take care of, but with some deep thought, you know, people can go through it and progress forward. And to me, it's just the imagery and all that. I just think it's just a well-made game from Ninja Theory that really at the year's end will be considered one of the very best of the year. At least I hope it will, because it's definitely shaping up to me like it will be, or at least something that fans will remember for a long time to come.
Right, and I know it's already getting consideration for Game of the Year. A lot of people are saying, "Hey, this needs to happen." You know, and it's a great deal, $29.99, and it's got a lot of interesting gaming mechanics. I don't know if you ever played Heavenly Sword, but it's kind of same style, and the Devil May Cry reboot, same company.
I wonder who made those games.
Yeah, yeah. My only critique of the game so far is that the dodging mechanics could be a little better, because you can only dodge one enemy at a time, but they put you, you know, there's instances where you're fighting 3 or 4 people at once, so that makes it difficult. But other than that, like, and especially the idea of the rot. So every time you die, this infection goes further up your arm, and the more times you die, the closer you get to having your entire game erased. So that actually ups the ante quite a bit for that game. But yeah, it's $29.99. This is definitely worth the money to pick up, and it's you know, it's interesting because I know Lawbreakers is kind of doing the same thing, going at a low price point. You know,
but in Lawbreakers' case, they're actually following an Overwatch's model as far as loot boxes, I believe, and adding a lot of stuff after the fact.
Yeah,
is that correct?
Yeah, but it's just, I'm curious to see the future of, like, these AAA developers kind of taking an indie route as far as you know, creating their own price points and stuff. So it's just going to be, it's a big step forward for gaming, and I'm wanting to see how this turns out. But definitely pick up Senua's Sacrafice if you get a chance to.
Definitely, I would agree with you as well. If you get a chance, check out Josh's game so far that he has provided a lot of game video already, and you can check that out on the Humanican Media YouTube page. That is Hellblade, Sesuna's Sacrafice. It's really a great game, and I think both of us suggest you give it a try, and it helps you understand more what people with mental trauma are going through, and in order to try and shed some light on it, so be able to better help the individuals who are going through that type of ordeal. If you have thoughts on Hellblade, Sesuna's Sacrafice, please share it with us here at popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, and also Humanican Media on Facebook and Twitter as well, where you can get a hold of the guys at the Super BS Gamescast. And if you want to talk about Hellblade, Sesuna's Sacrafice, that would be a great place to start as well. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos. We truly appreciate you being part of the broadcast here today. And I'll tell you what, if you just by chance are not able to check out our shows, either Attack of the Humanicans, the Pop Culture Cosmos show, or the PCC Multiverse on the Podcast Radio Network, at least in the case of the Pop Culture Cosmos shows, that's no problem. And also in Attack of the Humanicans, they're going to be on iTunes. Is that correct?
Yeah, Attack of the Humanicans, and I'm working on getting Topic Eclipse up there right now, but it's been I'm having some trouble with Apple at the moment.
No worries, but it will soon be there for you for their shows as well. But for Pop Culture Cosmos, the Pop Culture Cosmos channel is always available on iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, the Ace Podcast Network, Overcast.fm, Player.fm, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Podcast.com, Mixcloud, the ESO Broadcast Network, the Tangibound Network, the Gonna Geek Network, Cast Crunch, and popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. If also you want to send us a message, you really like it on the Social Podcast Network, we can also put it there. We put one episode already. We can do more if you wish. Also as well, Podomatic, if you want on there, you like it on there, we can throw episodes every now and there as well. Bits and pieces we throw every now and then on Anchor, and if they're still going to be available, SoundCloud as well. So I'll tell you what, Josh, I know you wanted to talk some Fantastic Four today. I know you said that was a great topic to talk about, but I don't know. The future of Fantastic Four does not really look good right now. And yes, we all know about the movie failures that has happened recently, with what happened with the latest reboot at Fox, and how many people want them to go back to Marvel as far as the movie platforms are concerned, away from 20th Century Fox. But I guess just recently, the Fantastic Four comics that were on the stands are no longer available for downloading digitally, or really just the availability of the actual series as a whole on comic books has really gone by the wayside. And I guess one of the writers, Jonathan Hickman, he was quoted recently in the press as saying that not only his personal experience that but I guess he was pretty much quoted as saying that Marvel isn't publishing Fantastic Four because of their disagreement with Fox and the way the movies are being handled. So I ask you, Josh, does it look like, at least for the near future, that Fantastic Four as an entity, either comics or movies, is truly DOA?
It's weird because I feel like not creating comics is kind of shooting Marvel, and Marvel's kind of shooting themselves in the foot, because there are a lot of interesting stories to tell. But, we've talked about this before, assuming you can come up with new content, give us new villains, give us new stories. We don't need to keep rehashing the same things over and over again. But at the same time, I feel like we all want an on-screen version of the Fantastic Four that is actually good. Not to say that the originals, they were okay, they weren't fantastic.
They were really cheesy, but they were okay cheesy, I guess.
They didn't take themselves seriously, and that's what was good. But with this new one, they built all this hype, and it was just a bad movie. It was a really bad and boring movie. So, and just from what I hear about Fox wanting to reboot as making the Fantastic Four like children, like that really just makes me sick, honestly. And they need to give the rights back to Marvel, because Marvel will actually do something with this. And like at this point, the Marvel Cinematic Universe really needs the Fantastic Four. And
I think so. They would be great in this Infinity Wars lineup.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And if Fox isn't going to do anything with them, they're talking about crossing over into X-Men, but that's not even going to work. So, if Fox is just going to keep on beating them to death, it makes no sense for them to even hold on to them. So I wonder, I'm sure Fox could get something out of this if they were to agree to Marvel's terms, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. But I just hope that something comes of this before people, Fox buries the Fantastic Four so bad in bad films that nobody cares about them anymore, because they are a tentpole of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Well, I will say this in regards to Fantastic Four in the comic book universe. When it comes to Marvel, it's always about sales. And it looks like, in my opinion, their decision in pulling any Fantastic Four off the comic book shelves outside of what they're integrated in with I guess most recently Secret War, to me it appears that the sales have been diminished so greatly, and the perception amongst comic book fans with the Fantastic Four is at such an all-time low that it looks like it's going to be just really, dare I say it, doom for the Fantastic Four franchise, at least this point going forward.
And it's funny too, because what would rejuvenate interest in the Fantastic Four would be a movie in the Marvel cinema in the MCU. So it's kind of it's a double-edged sword. So we don't.
I think I would disagree with you. I don't think a single entity would be right now a smart move. I think that if they were part of something and they stayed in like the Infinity Wars, or they were in Captain Marvel, or they were in, you know what I mean? I think for right now that would be the safe way to tread water at this point in time.
Right. Well, any sort of appearance in the MCU would be a great move for them. But right now, it's kind of, I think that as far as, the comics go, I think a lot of people are really tired of a lot of the characters. I mean, even Captain America is somebody they should probably put to rest for a while. But
especially after what they did to his character in the Secret Empire.
Yeah, it was Secret Empire. But we're either, as far as the comic book industry goes, we're either headed for a renaissance or we're headed for a collapse, because once this phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe ends, I don't think its comic sales are going to do that well, because this story arc is going to come to an end unless they do something to rejuvenate the comic books and bring new fans into it. As far as like the next phase of the Marvel goes, it's we're reaching a very interesting point. It's either going to tip and collapse, or it's going to increase. So I'm curious to see what their strategy is going forward.
I am as well, but at this point with Fantastic Four, it is such, to me, a property that is really just below at the bottom. I don't think it can go much farther below, and it's all because of the way Fox has handled that platform and that entity. And I just feel really bad for really, really, really big Fantastic Four fans who have swore by the Fantastic Four series for years, and to get this kind of treatment at this point in time because the movies have been so bad. Because the reboot movie was so bad that I just feel bad for them, because it's just very sad to see because you have this great property that was actually one of the hallmarks, one of the staples of the Marvel comic universe. I mean, kids were just in love with the Fantastic Four, and they had lunch boxes. Back when I was a kid, they had lunch boxes. They had properties. They had such as blankets, bed sheets, posters. The whole 9 yards. They were really integrated, and they were actually on par. In my opinion, they were on par with the Spider-Mans, the Iron Mans at that point in time. But so much has changed, and unfortunately, it's because of the mishandling of the property by Fox. And I'll just tell you what. Hopefully, it will actually get into Marvel's hands with that movie property, so they can make the right changes. Indeed. What are your thoughts on the Fantastic Four as an entity? What are your thoughts on them? Do you think the Fantastic Four can be saved? Do you think if it goes to Marvel that the Fantastic Four can reach those heights that it once had? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, and Humanican Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. And we're back with Pop Culture Cosmos. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate it as we close out the show here today. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. My name is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos and Game Source. We truly appreciate being part of the broadcast here today. And Josh, to close out the show today, I know some brand new photos, some brand new information came out this week on The Last Jedi. All these little crumbs, these little tidbits are being sent out by Lucasfilm to get us even more excited. But as you and I know, both of us have just at this point said, let's just see the movie for all intents and purposes at this point in time, because you've already sold me on it. I want to be there. I want to find out what's going on. But is there anything that came out this week that you're interested, that among the pictures of the new properties that you saw that's going to be in the film, whether it was the new creatures, whether it was the new Empire features, or whether it was the new Empire personnel? What stood out to you the most as far as news and information that came out this week from The Last Jedi?
Nothing really. I kind of read, I know we've talked about this before, but I kind of read Star Wars news now, and I'm like, I'll see it when I see it. I don't really get hyped about it. Of course, when they put out a new trailer, I get pretty stoked. But as far as just releasing pictures, I know we talked about this with like the Justice League, how they keep releasing the same posters just in different poses and stuff. It's one of those things where I don't get that stoked about pictures. Like I don't like to make assumptions based off pictures because they're always wrong. And Star Wars has this habit. I just want to watch the movie. They don't even have to release any more trailers. I just want to see the movie at this point. I don't care. They've told me all I really care to know about it, and I don't want to really delve into anything else. I just want to watch the movie.
I do too as well, but it's always nice to get even just some little tidbits every now and then. I know Benicio del Toro talked a little bit more about his character that got out in an Entertainment Weekly interview. And also, I know that there's some pictures of some creatures that were introduced, and also as well I want to know more about Snoke, Supreme Leader Snoke, but I don't think it's going to really enlighten us from what I'm reading as far as and trying to understand the interviews with Rian Johnson, the director. They're not going to really elaborate more on his story in this movie, which is kind of disappointing because I'd like to find out more about him. But they did show pictures of his bodyguards, aka Muscle, aka Emperor's Guard type deal. In this case, they're called the Elite Praetorian Guard is what's going on with those. And my gosh, they're shiny red uniforms or whatnot. They look like something out of Rollerball. But outside of that, and outside of the fact they look like they're going to play some hockey, they look really threatening indeed to back up whatever Supreme Leader Snoke is going to dish out. So some good stuff came out, exclusive pictures. So you want to check it out on, I'll give them some love, some entertainmentweekly.com site. So some great pictures there about what's coming up. But, they've been feeding us all these breadcrumbs at this point. I'm just like you. I just want to see the picture. The Last Jedi's looking great. You've already sold me on it. We already know what we want to know about the little hints that are going on, and we want to know more about Luke's story. We want to know more about, like I said, just the whole 9 yards. How does John Boyega come back to health so quickly? That's a kind of puzzling little detail that they're going to have to shape out, when it comes out this December. But I'm sure they'll do that indeed. But The Last Jedi definitely looks very promising. Kind of a different thing going on with some side missions in a casino-like format that they're showing as well. So I'm definitely curious to see the movie. Definitely excited for it. At this point, like you said, Josh, just wanted to come out, but unfortunately, we got about 3.5 more months of hype? 4, almost.
Yeah, probably a couple more trailers, I'm sure.
Yeah. So at least there's that. So that's still a little bit of a time, but eventually it'll come out, and we'll be right there first in line to go see the movie as well. So what are your thoughts on The Last Jedi? Are you still excited as you were when that first trailer came out, or do you just want, just like us, do you just want it to come out at this point in time so you can be satisfied with everything that's been shown up to point that's been shown up to this point? Do you really want to go ahead and see it now and not get any more little tidbits thrown at you? Share us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Also as well, Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, and Humanica Media on Facebook and Twitter as well. And speaking of Humanica Media, Josh has got a lot of great stuff coming down the pike. So Josh, what is coming soon from Humanica Media?
Yeah, you can catch the tail end of Topicocalypse episode 3. We're going to record a new one next week. There's also a brand new Super BS Gamescast, which you can catch on Monday. You can catch the Attack of the Humanicans also on Tuesday on the Podcast Radio Network. And What About This will be returning on August 21st. So stay tuned. Don't cancel your subscriptions. The boys are back.
That's great to hear. And don't forget as well, the #1 show 6 months in a row on the Podcast Radio Network. That is Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. That's the Pop Culture Cosmos show. And it's #1, all because of you. So for Josh Pederson, this is Gerald Glassford. And it's another beautiful day in paradise here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening, and here's hoping you have yourself a great day.